Okay, folks, so now that you've got your tapestry frame built, it's time to put the warp on. So in your kit, you should all have warp thread or warp string or twine, and that's going to look like this. Okay, so it's going to look, this is the warp yarn that, or twine that you've been given. It's 100% cotton and it's very, very strong. So it's really almost like, not impossible, I guess, if you're the Hulk or something, but really hard to pull apart just by yanking on it. So that's what you want. So this frame that has the strips on it, this is the top of your frame, or the front, and where there is no strip is the back. So I'm going to start by actually I'm going to tie a knot onto just a simple knot here, and then I'm, just in case it slips, I'm just going to tape the warp twine onto the back. And I don't want it to slip off, so I'm really going to tape it on there. All right, so to start now, I'm going to bring that warp yarn up through one of the tabs. And now I'm going to bring it to the other side, to the opposite tab on this side, here. And it's going to go around the tab, like that, and back down to the other side, and then around this tab. And I want to just check my tension and make sure that they're equally taut. It's not as tight as like a guitar string, of course. You know, the cardboard would likely rip if I tried to pull it that tight, but I can bring it up to the tab, and then before I wrap it around the tab, I'll just give it a little tug to make sure it's nice and tight, and wrap it around, and it should hold that tension now. Don't pull as you're running your hand along the warp, because you could give yourself a rope burn doing that. So just come down to the end, give it a bit of a yank at that point, just a gentle tug, wrap it around the tab. Whoops, and if you're not careful, it'll come right out. Wrap it around the tab like that, and then go up to the other end. And you're just going to go from the left, the very first tab, all the way across to the last tab. Okay, so I've strung it back and forth, all the way across the loom, the frame, and now I've come to the top, and I'm just going to flip it over and tape that warp thread now to the back. And I'm not using very strong tape right now, but I should be. Right now I've just got painter's tape in front of me, but if I had packing tape or masking tape, that would be a better tape to use. And once I've taped that on the back, I can cut the rest of the twine away. So you can see from the front, the warp comes around and back, all the way up and down across. And from the back, it doesn't do much except go around the little tabs. Okay, it just goes around the tabs here. Most of the action's happening on the front. And those little strips that you made originally, they're causing just a little bit of height to occur here so that the warp isn't pressed right against the cardboard. There's a little bit of lift there. Okay, and now what we have here is our warp stretched or strung up onto our frame, and we're ready now to start tapestry weaving and to start the weaving process. One thing I would do is add a card in here, a piece of cardstock. There is cardstock. If it wasn't in your kit, included in your kit, then it is in the studio on the alt media shelf. But I'm just going to grab some cardstock. And the cardstock that you have is about, I think it's either 10 inches or 8.5 inches, and it's 4 inches wide. That's the important part. So I'm just quickly going to make a 4-inch wide. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just needs to be a thicker paper. There we go. So now I've got a thick piece of paper here. Cardstock works great. Again, it's available for you in exactly the right size. It's been cut already in the studio. Or if you've got a thick, cover of a magazine, or a piece of cereal box or something that's quite, malleable but still stiff, you can use that. So now what I'm going to do is just weave this. This is the first thing I'm going to weave. I'm going to weave it onto my frame. And I'm going to do that by taking and going underneath the first warp thread, and then over top of the one beside it, and then underneath, over, under, over, all the way across. So I'll take my piece of paper and go under, then over, under, then over, under, then over. All the way across, and so the paper slides through, and I can bring it down as far as it'll go. Okay, and so if I want to take a look now just to double check and make sure that, yeah, the paper has gone under and then over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, all the way across. And once that has happened and that paper is in there with a 4-inch height, okay, it doesn't matter that it's too wide, that's okay, but I've got 4 inches here. That's the important part. I'm ready to start weaving. So congratulations if you get to this point. We will learn how to start weaving in class.